Hey everyone, ready to tackle a big one. We're diving into online versus traditional education today. And trust me, we've got a ton of research to unpack. I mean, it's everywhere, right? Everyone's got an opinion on the best way to learn. But how do you sort through all the noise? Well, that's what we're here for. This deep dive is all about getting to the heart of what really matters. So let's start with the basics. Our research lays out pretty clear definitions of online and traditional education. Traditional, that's your classic brick-and-mortar experience. You know, classrooms, lecture halls, the whole shebang. Online learning, on the other hand, is all about those digital platforms, websites, videos, virtual reality even. It's leveraging technology to bring the learning to you. So the core difference is clear. One's primarily digital, the other's all about face-to-face.
And it's fascinating how this isn't just a new versus old debate. I mean, traditional education has been around for centuries, right? It's got this weight of history behind it. But online learning, that's really exploded recently, especially with the pandemic kind of accelerating everything. So understanding that context, I think, helps explain why people have such strong opinions on both sides.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind of change for sure. And speaking of strong opinions, let's dive into the benefits of that traditional approach. One of the big ones that our research highlighted was face-to-face interaction.
It's amazing how much that real-time back and forth shapes the learning experience. Think about it. You can raise your hand in a lecture, get your question answered right then and there. That instant feedback, it's invaluable, especially when you're grappling with a tough concept.
It's like having a cheat code for understanding. And then there's the social aspect too. Those late-night study sessions, the debates in the student union, they shape you. It's not just about hitting the books.
It's true. Traditional education really fosters this structured environment that encourages social development. Group projects, for example, you're learning to collaborate, communicate, work with different personalities. Those are huge skills, not just for your academic life, but for your career, for your personal life. And then there's the network you build just by being physically present in that kind of environment.
It's like a crash course in adulting, right? But let's be real, even those hallowed halls have their downsides. Like, remember those early morning classes after a late night studying? Not always the fondest memories. And our research pointed out some of those drawbacks. Like that fixed schedule, it's a blessing and a curse. If you're working a job juggling family or just someone who needs flexibility, that rigid timetable can be tough.
And then there's the geographical limitation. What if the program you want is 1,000 miles away? Traditional education might mean uprooting your life, which isn't always possible or affordable. And of course, we can't forget about the financial aspect.
Tuition, textbooks, living expenses. It adds up fast.
It's a significant investment for sure, and that can create barriers for a lot of people, making education less accessible. It's a real issue.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've explored the world of traditional education. The good, the bad, the whole 9 yards. Ready to flip the script and explore the digital frontier of online learning. Time to beam ourselves into the world of online learning right.
Yeah, it's like a whole other universe of options.
And one of the biggest perks the research really highlighted this is flexibility.
Oh, absolutely. It's learning on your terms. You can be anywhere in the world and still tap into some incredible programs.
No more fighting for a seat in a crowded lecture hall. I like the sound of that. But it's more than just convenience, right? This kind of flexibility can be life-changing.
It really can. Imagine being a single parent working a full-time job. Traditional education might feel impossible, but online learning, that could be the key to changing your whole career path.
It's like hitting the pause button on your education when you need to. Learn, rewind, repeat all on your own schedule. And speaking of hitting pause, what about the cost? Our research suggested online learning might be easier on the wallet.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's not always the case. But online courses can sometimes be more affordable. No commuting costs, no expensive on-campus housing. Plus, you can sometimes find free resources online.
Free is always good. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Every rose has its thorns, right? And our research didn't shy away from the potential downsides of online learning either.
True, there are challenges. I think the biggest one is self-discipline. You're your own teacher, your own motivator, even your own tech support sometimes. It takes serious focus to stay on track when you're at home with all its comforts and distractions.
I can see how that would be tough. Suddenly, that pile of laundry seems way more interesting than your online lecture. And then there's always the risk of technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, the dreaded frozen screen in the middle of a crucial lesson. Technology is amazing, but it can be a bit fickle. And for some people, that lack of face-to-face interaction can be hard. We're social creatures by nature. That connection, that sense of belonging matters.
Yeah, there's something special about those impromptu study sessions or just being able to chat with a professor during office hours. Plus, let's be real, not everything translates perfectly to the online world.
Right, some things just need that hands-on in-person experience. You can't exactly perform surgery on a virtual patient.
True. Makes you appreciate the value of those real-world experiences. So we've explored the pros and cons, the flexibility, the challenges, the good and the not so good. There's a lot to consider. What does it all boil down to for someone trying to navigate these options?
Honestly, it's about finding the right fit. It's not about saying one approach is better than the other. It's about figuring out what aligns best with you, your goals, your lifestyle. And the research actually gave us some great questions to think about.
So where do we even start with all this?
Well, the research highlighted some key questions we should think about.
Okay, lay it on me.
I think the most important is figuring out your learning goals. What are you hoping to get out of this whole experience?
Right. Are you trying to learn new skills for a career change? Or maybe just explore a subject you've always been curious about?
Exactly. Your goals are going to play a huge role in deciding which path is right for you.
That makes sense. It's like choosing a vacation, right?
Yeah.
A relaxing beach trip needs a different plan than like an adventurous backpacking trip.
I like that analogy. So once you know your destination, how do you figure out the best way to get there?
Okay, so how do we do that?
That's where understanding your learning style comes in. Are you someone who thrives in a structured classroom with deadlines and all that? Or do you prefer to learn at your own pace, kind of diving deep into things that grab your interest?
Yeah, I can see how forcing yourself into a learning style that doesn't fit could be a recipe for disaster. It's like trying to study for a test with a method that just doesn't click with you.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about the practical stuff too. Your schedule, your commitments, your resources, all of that.
Right? Like, can you actually make it to classes on a fixed schedule? Or do you need that online flexibility to fit learning around everything else?
It's about finding that sweet spot where your aspirations and your reality can coexist.
No point in burning yourself out, right?
Exactly. The important thing is to make an informed decision. Don't get caught up in the hype or feel pressured to follow a certain path just because it seems trendy.
It's your education, your journey. So as we wrap up this deep dive, one last thought keeps popping into my head. The research kind of hinted at this idea. Maybe the future of learning isn't about choosing sides at all.
Now that's an interesting thought.
What if online and traditional learning could work together? Instead of competing, they could collaborate, each bringing their own strengths to the table.
I love that. Imagine taking a virtual lecture from home and then heading to a lab for some hands-on experiments with other students.
Or a program that combines online modules with in-person mentoring. It's like a personalized learning experience.
Exactly. You get to pick and choose what works best for you.
It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
Absolutely. Education is constantly evolving, finding new ways to help people learn and grow.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you all to ponder the possibilities. Until next time, happy learning, everyone.